Okay, I think we're good. I'll raise up the volume on the mic. Put on music. Alright, so we finished this today on December 3, 2025 with a time of 25 hours, 16 minutes, and 44 seconds. So let's put that in. Alright, so thank you for the welcome backs, Jose and Rose. Okay, so story was alright. Like, it's a crossover title, so there's just a lot of fan services, references, cameos, and things like that between Gundam and Kamen Rider and Ultraman and even Super Robot Wars all meshed into one. At the very least, there's a decent plot where it's like, okay, these crossover characters have formed a terrorist organization, to go fight evil and go fight terrorists. So there's a lot of little character banter interactions and things like that, and things to meet along the way. And it's like, yeah, it's serviceable. I feel like I would get more mileage out of it if I knew, though, the source materials better, primarily Kamen Rider and Ultraman from the Showa eras. Not so much, the later stuff, which is like, I only know Kamen Rider and Ultraman from the 2020s and 2010s series. Otherwise, yeah, decent. Gets the job done. Not too attached over it, but at least it's a crossover story with some degree of substance, so that's a 3. And the music, this is not so tricky because I like the music of this game, but there's so little of it, and it's got some monotonous, like only one battle theme until the final boss battle, only one dungeon theme until the final dungeon, only this one town themes and things like that. And when you're just going through many places back and forth, and you just end up hearing the same music over and over and over again. Some games, even with small soundtracks, it doesn't feel as bad. This one, it just feels like it was very droning, and even just made the good music just feel a little bit of a drag. Otherwise, it's an otherwise good soundtrack. And this is what I was nervous about when I first was playing out the music list, and it's like 16 songs. It's like, uh-oh, with a potential 27 estimate. Hey, Dippo, how's it going? So it's a 3. And graphically, it's okay. Like, a lot of the same places, environments, and stuff, which I don't care about too much, but doesn't make it anything interesting or special either. Some neat sprites, some neat animations. Really got the extra mile of, of the whole palette swap thing, where it's not even a palette swap. They just change the names and the stats of the enemies, but the colorings look exactly the same. That just goes extra instead of just switching this with the same sprite but different color. So it's like, that's lazy, I guess, but I don't like using that word. I guess they were just really cutting corners there, or this was a rush job. So, but they're otherwise, it's a little nice and colorful. There's occasionally some pretty neat animations with the sprites, the abilities, and things like that, but otherwise, nothing that I don't care for too much. So, it's a 3. And gameplay, very straightforward, simple turn-based RPG. You go from town to dungeon, town to dungeon, town to dungeon, with a lot of back and forth. Sometimes it's a pain in the butt where it's like the balance is sort of a little whack. Sometimes they try to, spice things up by having solo segments with the characters and stuff, which is neat, but it also feels like a drag, at least with some characters. With the Kamen Rider stuff, since he's the most strongest party member, attack-wise, it was fine with him. Ultraman's felt more of a drag because he's weaker and he's more of a sport-oriented character. And there tends to be meaner enemies in Amuro's side, so that also feels like a drag. Otherwise, what can I say? Just simple turn-based RPG. The only other thing is the TP system thing, which I kind of like the idea, but it was also tedious and a pain in the butt, where it's like, you have this TP meter where, you use up abilities and you recharge it by, attacking and then get extra when finishing off the enemies, but it could be a major drag when the enemies can be HP sponges and you have to manually just kind of manage who gets the finishing blow and stuff, which I guess is part of the intent for a little for strategy, but it just kind of makes things tedious for me. But what makes it kind of even more annoying is that you don't recover TP when resting at the hospitals. Hospitals where it's like, yeah, this is the time where you should just fully recover everything, not just during battles, and that just made it much more of a drag than it should have been. If it at least did that, then yeah, it still would be a bit of a drag, but I wouldn't mind as much, or I would just probably make the lazy trips back and forth from the dungeons back to the towns, or something like that. So that makes it rough, and everything's also expensive, which I guess, you know, the game just kind of pushes you to just do more grinding and stuff, which I did towards the end, where I felt a little underpowered, and I felt like maybe that little extra push would just make a difference instead of just being mid-30s and everything. My damage output just kind of being a little especially without the TP abilities and stuff, or I'm just doing 1 damage to bosses. So, at its core, it's just a fine, straightforward turn-based game, but there's little things about the games and the systems that just kind of made it a little more of a drag, plus some little pacing issues and balancing issues, so it's a 3, and ultimately, yeah, it's also a 3, just a 3 across the board. It's very average. Like, it was initially between a 3 and a 4, where I just like the straightforward nature of the game, but then there's little things that just kind of made it a drag, and by the 25 hours, with the very repetitive music, it just felt like it overstayed its welcome for me for an otherwise decent game. Yeah, but at least it was never like a 2 or anything. Like, it was not a total suffering or a slog or anything. It was just kind of like, okay, I had my fill, it's going on a little too long. Well, around 25 hours. Oh well. But it was a decent time. Let's see how the next game goes. And for closing comments, I was just thinking to myself, I'm just being silly with one of my comments. And this is the crossover. Yeah. You're right. 3 all-arounds for 2 games in a row. Almost 3 games in a row with those pretty good graphics there. No, he joined us for one segment yesterday. You were there during the chat, I believe. Yeah. Last 5 out of 5 game was the Max Returns. At least here in the Wonder was pretty good, otherwise it's just a string of average stuff, but that's kind of expected. No idea how the next 3 games will go. At least I'll like East 5, so there's still stuff to look forward to. So, we'll see how Eye of the Beholder goes. With Dungeon Crawlers, it's either like going to be extremely tedious and monotonous, or, ooh, I'm engaged by the dungeons and the puzzles and the party builds or something like that. One way to find out. Let's just get myself ready for it. We'll play some Hero Chronicles music while I'm getting this ready. Alright, so